Okay, I'm going to say a formal welcome to you and welcome to your first caucus. I know it's pretty nerve-wracking, so I hope you took your big breath. You will have time to answer all your questions. If we do get to your last question and you're running out of time, just like 15 seconds before your time runs out, I'll just put my hand up and then you can just finish off your last sentence. So yeah, please don't stress about it. It's going to be really good and I hope that you enjoy it. I'm going to start off with asking you your first question. I'm just going to pull them up here. Okay, my first question to you is, what is one of the values of Aristia that you would change, and how will you, with what would you replace it? And then the thing that you replace it with, how will you embody this in your term? You can ask me to repeat the question if you didn't catch it.
Yeah, could you repeat, please?
Yes. Okay, what is one value of Aristia that you would change, and what would you replace it with? And then the second part of the question is, how will you embody the thing that you replace it with in your term?
Okay, so the one value that I would maybe want to change is respect, even though I do have respect for respect. I believe that is something that everyone should have regardless. And something that I would want to change is acceptance towards others and yourself. Because that is something that's really close to my heart, and I really see a gap in society today where we really need to start working on that. And I really think putting that into Aristia's values and starting to incorporate it and live it and lead by example, things will definitely start changing up then.
Thank you. Just before I give over to the panel, I would like to ask a follow-up question. What is one practical way that you think you can implement that? Maybe an event or a mission statement or anything like that that you think we can do?
So one thing that I was thinking about when I was thinking of HC and my term, if I make it, what I would like to do with my term is something I would like to maybe implement workshops of how you can love yourself, and with loving yourself, you can love others through incorporating the counseling center and bringing external sources and people speaking out. That is really something that I would like to bring in regularly, especially. And yeah.
Thank you. Do we have a question? Yes. Do we have a question from the panel?
Hello, Carissa.
Hi, Foka.
So in your speech, you spoke about breaking stigmas, right? So I just want you to elaborate on some of the stigmas that you think need to be broken and how you'd go about doing that as well.
So one of the stigmas that I would like to break is mental illnesses and mental health, because I still feel, even though we are moving to a couple of steps forward, I feel like we're not there just yet. Because especially stigmas within yourself and stigmas within the community about mental health. And that's also where I would like to bring in the workshops and bring in like coping mechanisms and bring in awareness about that specific type of stigma. Because I still feel like people see you as like broken or whatever, even though you're definitely not. So yeah, that's something that I really would like to focus on. Thanks.
Thanks. I have a question from the house for you.
Yes.
And then Josh, sorry, you can go after that. Your question from the house is, what skills did you learn in your mentoring year, and how would you use these best in your term as HC?
So something that I've definitely learned is, even though I did say in my speech that one of my core strengths is communication, it's definitely like widening my communication skills, and especially also a little bit of conflict management, because it is something that I do struggle with, and it's something that I have to work on. I definitely feel like mentoring definitely has opened me up a bit. And another skill is definitely looking a little bit into the broader sense of things. And yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Joss. Oh, yeah, no, go for it.
And then what I would like to incorporate with my HC term is I would definitely want to broaden it, and I would want to use those skills to improve my weaker skills.
Thank you. Joss, you can go.
Hi, Carissa.
Hi, Joss.
So my question is to do with, in your speech, you did mention that you are a bit of a perfectionist, which can be a good and a bad thing. But in a team setting, how are you going to ensure that you don't let every small detail that you notice wrong in situations get the best of you? And how are you going to handle that in a team setting?
So also, as I said, is I'm definitely a democratic leader. So I really want everyone's input. And even though it is something within myself, I definitely won't talk down to my teammates or my fellow HC. And yeah, being a perfectionist, it, like you said, it does come with its pros and cons. But I would like to see it more as a pro sometimes. And yeah, if that answers your question, I feel like I'm just babbling on.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, Carissa, I'm going to ask you my favorite short question because we only have a minute left. So my favorite short question is, what would be written on your grave? What would the world say about Carissa in one sentence?
Definitely a fighter, and something that I would like the world to say about me is a very compassionate individual that just has a heart for serving and just seeing other people grow and myself grow and getting the best out of people.
Thank you so much. That concludes your caucus. Yes, I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you have a lovely evening further. You're more than welcome to stay on the call, or you can leave and go enjoy your evening.
Thank you so much, Adley.
Pleasure. Okay, Jamie. You are more than welcome to put your camera and your mic on.
Okay, there we go.
Okay, I am just going to spotlight you so that we can see your face in the big screen. There we go. Very welcome to your caucus. You know the drill by now.
Yeah.
So I am going to start you off with your first question. And your first question from me is, where have you been involved in Aristia, and what advantage did these experiences give you to equip you for your HC term?
Okay, so far in Aristia, I've been involved with sports. I played for Aristia's first year's team last year. I was on first year's committee, obviously did Fensters last year. And then this year I was on second year's committee. I was a mentor. And I've also been assisting Marge with virtual engagement. So I've been working under the Prim for the past year, or the current Prim now. And then I've also helped Mareka with Fensters. So this year I had to took charge a little bit, and I was allocating who does what dance, who's going to choreograph the different dances, like the songs and stuff like that. And then I also took it upon myself to learn all the dances so that I could go between Siemensberg and Maneuver and us to teach all the dances. And yeah, that's basically it.
Thank you, Jamie. And just how do you think, like, what skills do you think these activities gave you to help you in your HE term?
I think what helped me with my HE term was that it made me more confident in like stepping out there and taking initiative. Because before I used to be like very shy. I was like, okay, someone else is going to do it. It'll be fine. But I think this year, I think also living with the HC also made me more comfortable because I could see the ins and outs of what you guys ought to go through. And like I could see like, because I also do video analysis for Marty Sport. So I always have to look for like the finer details and look for trends and I observe a lot. So obviously over the year, I've observed a lot of you guys. So I could see different characteristics of what worked best when and what didn't work and like how things could have been handled differently. So I think it was just overall a whole bunch of skills that could like blend into everything.
Thank you so much, Jamie. Do you have a question from the panel?
Hey, Jamie.
Hey, Joss.
So much to do with your application. You did mention that you wanted to give more people within our community a voice. And I just want to know, what is one practical way that you can implement this in your term?
I just think like, for especially like with our social media, it's almost like once you're already involved in like being represented on the social media, it's like the same people always being like shown off the whole time. So I just think if there was more opportunity for people to like message in and be like, hey, so like I'm doing this, I'm doing that, maybe they can also be highlighted. And then also like it comes in with one of our RCR values, approachability, with them feeling safe enough to approach us in order to talk to us and say, this is what I'm going through, this is what this is what's happening, and then they can also speak up, and it won't just be the same people only involved in RCR, it can also branch out to the wider community.
Thank you.
What's up, JV?
Hey, Buka.
So my question is, what do you see the HC's role, or what do you think is the HC's role in terms of the development of the RAs in general?
Oh, in general, I would just say the HC is the first line of leadership that the RAs would look up to and be like, okay, so it's almost like in high school, like with the grade 8. So see, okay, these are the prefix. This is how I want to be. Then they kind of like lead by example. This is what an RA is supposed to look like. This is how they carry themselves. So I just feel like being on HC, you need to also think about your own personal brand, not just the brand of Aristia and how you portray yourself. So because that also shows off a message to the first years or the newcomers, and that'll also play in a role of how much they want to be involved.
Awesome.
Thank you, Jamie. I have a question for you relating to your observation of the HC. What is one thing, not necessarily something you observed straight up, but just an example that you have of one thing you would change or you think that is lacking, just in general in terms of RSTR?
I would definitely say it's the hype around sport. Not just like because I do sports science, also because like, especially like this year for the hockey, we struggled to get like a couple of players to be keen to play. So I think if there was more hype around it, like there was more energy, like even because I know there's no supporters this year, it was like more social media posting, because that's something else that I spoke to Marge about, is creating more of a sports like channel kind of thing. And then just making it like more small events during the year so that everyone can see each other and reconnect. So like it can't just be like just welcoming week where we do events or like just RSDO week. It can be small things like we can go to the dam a hot day in summer, like make it another thing. Or like we literally live by the tennis courts. Why can't we do like a tennis competition? You don't have to be good. It can be for fun. You can wear funky outfits, but just so that everyone can reconnect. It's not just the same group of people always doing the same things.
Thank you so much for that. We have time for one more quick question, if any of the panel has one. Just go for it.
Jamie, my question is, what strengths of yours make you especially suitable to serve on the House Committee?
One of my biggest strengths is that I'm easily like relatable and I'm very empathetic. So like my friends don't even have to say anything. I can already read how they're feeling, what they're thinking. So even in a potential HC meeting, if like things are being discussed, I can just read people's facial expressions and body language. And then maybe if like I can see, okay, they don't want to say anything, but I can almost know exactly what they're thinking. So that can also be like, okay, maybe somehow I can play the table a little bit, and then hopefully the right outcome will come out at the end.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jamie. That concludes your caucus. I hope you have a lovely evening further, and you're more welcome to stay or watch the others. Okay, Banazi, you are our next candidate. You can put on your camera and mic, and then we just see if everything's working.
Hello.
Hello. Can I ask you just to move a smidge back because we are seeing the lower half of your, it's blue brackets when you're on your phone. There we go. Perfect. Now we can see your face. Okay, so you know the drill. So I am going to start you off with your first question. And your first question is, how do you think your involvement in Aristia has helped you and given you skills to work in HC? You're more than welcome to mention examples and what skills they've given you.
Okay, so first of all, I think my general involvement in Aristia has really allowed me to see the dynamic and the wonderful teamwork that happens within the HC and within other leadership structures. In terms of the other things, this year, which was really exciting for me, I was involved with the Ari Alert. I was features director. I worked very closely with Marge on it. It was kind of our baby, and I was in charge of kind of getting content and facilitating people doing their articles and things like that. So I think that gave me a bit of a taste of what it was like to kind of be in a position where people look to you for the answers. So that was really great. I also was involved in Teneelfees. I directed our 2019 Teneelfees play, and that was also extremely fun. And I think just interacting with people, getting to know them, and being in a position where you have to meet new people has really helped me in, I think, getting in preparation for possibly being on HC. Also being a mentor and being on the seniors committee has also really allowed me to see kind of deeper into what I can do within the HC. That makes any sense.
Perfect. Thank you, Benazi. I'm going to give over to the panel to ask the next question.
Hello, Benazi.
Hello.
So my question is, what is one general portfolio that you feel that you resonate with? And if you get this portfolio, what is one idea that you'd bring to it?
Okay, so Social Impact Committee is something that lies very close to my heart. I've been involved with it since, well, the Social Impact Committee, I've been involved since the first year. And one idea that I would have, there's an organization called ProChorus. It's in Yonkashuk, and it lies very close to my heart. And I would love to be able to do some work with them. Yeah, it's like an aftercare facility. And I just think that we can do some really great things within that organization.
Just a follow-up on that. If you were to not get the portfolio, how would you go about sort of like ensuring that some of the ideas still are implemented?
Well, depending on who gets the portfolio, I would obviously respect whatever ideas they have. But it's all about collaborating. And, you know, if the person who gets the portfolio needs help, I'm always around. I will not force my ideas on anyone, but I am always around to lend a helping hand.
Thank you, Benazi. We have time for another question from the panel. I'll just check if Joss has one for us.
Hi, V.
Hello.
In particular, what do you think is your biggest strength that you can bring to your house committee team?
I've mentioned this before, but my love for people. I absolutely love people and helping people, doing things for people. Like, my passion lies with people. So I think that would really help me in supporting the members of the HC and whoever else I work with.
Great, thank you.
Thank you so much, Benazi. That concludes your caucus, so thank you for joining us again, and I hope you have a lovely evening further. Okay, our next candidate is going to be Caitlin.
Hello, am I audible? Am I visible?
You are audible. I'm going to spotlight you. so that everyone can see you. Okay, very welcome to your caucus.
Thank you.
I am going to pull up your question here, and then we can start. So your first question is, what is your biggest weakness and how will you combat this in your coming term?
My biggest weakness and how I will combat it. Definitely interpersonal skills, i.e. between my relations between other people around me, specifically resolving conflict. I've not always been the best conflict resolver, but lately I've been trying really hard with it. And especially during my mentor term, it gave me such a big opportunity to grow. So I'll definitely say how I'll overcome it is just by persevering through it and keep on working at it, and definitely using my fellow HC members and using the wisdom and techniques they have to further better my own skills.
Thank you very much. We have a question from the panel.
Hey, Caitlin.
Hey, Joss.
So my question is, what is one thing that you have learned from the current HC now that you think benefits the house the most, that you would like to implement in your coming term, and how would you do this?
The value of involvement. Definitely that's something I learned actually from you, is how big of an impact that it actually has on a community, how big of an impact it has on the Aristia community of anybody who wants to be part of it. How I will incorporate it or bring it into my term if elected as part of HC. I'll definitely use the value of integration, collaboration, and trying to get people involved. It's something I've heard before tonight, is just definitely getting people together and getting them to be part of what we're doing. I mean, we can't further Aristia on our own. We need the value of incorporation, the value of the people with us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have another question from the panel? Go for Carl.
Hi, Caitlin. So in your speech, you spoke about creating a sense of belonging and of community, and we tend to hear that a lot around this caucus time. So what are the some of the practical things that you would do to make sure that that happens, or we see that?
So the value of belonging and stuff, yes, those are words that are normally just thrown around, but there's a difference between saying it and actually making it happen. I think that's like part of your question, which you just asked. And how I'll definitely actually make it happen is by, like I just told Joss, by incorporating people. People don't feel like they belong. They don't feel like they're part of anything if you don't use them, if you don't make them feel like they belong. So definitely just getting some involvement. If I have something to do in my portfolio and I know I've got space to ask if anybody wants to help me. It's not if I need help, but it's if there are people who would like to be a part of Aristia, who would like to have a space, to have a voice which they can actually share with the rest of the people. So just giving the rest of the Aristia community that space just to, you know, incorporate and feel like they're actually contributing something.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kate. That concludes your caucus, so I hope you have a lovely evening further.
Thank you very much.
It was nice to see your face again.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay, so our next candidate is Courtney. You can put your mic on and your camera.
Hi.
Hello. Lovely to see your face. I'm spotlighting you so everyone else can see it as well.
Perfect.
Okay, so let me just reset our timer here. Okay, I'm gonna pull up your first question.
Sure.
And my first question for you is, which portfolio would you resonate most with, and what skills do you have that will allow you to best engage in this or these portfolios? You're more than welcome to mention more than one.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, with our new Primaria being Marge, I definitely think I looked up a lot to her in how she handled the newcomers committee. She really truly inspired me. So I really think if I had to get one portfolio, I'd absolutely love that. I'm definitely an organized person, so organizing people into different spaces and regions and where they can actually flourish and be themselves is something I definitely love to incorporate and love to do. Giving people new chances to be leaders and new abilities to grow in themselves and the leadership development side of Aristia. And just, yeah, allowing them to be themselves in a community where they feel they can go further and make new friends and meet new people and also learn leadership in the process. I think I'd really enjoy being a part of that committee. The skills I think I have, definitely organization, seeing how Marge organized them into so many different categories to show them their strengths, and having interviews, learning about new people. I'm very organized, so I think I could definitely handle that well. And yeah, just really allowing people to show them their true colors and who they really are. I really think I would enjoy that portfolio.
Thank you, Cords. I'm going to open it up to the panel for your next question.
Perfect.
Hey, Courtney.
Hi.
So I'd like to know, because you spoke in your speech about creating a safe space or making Aristia a safe space. How, or would you care to elaborate about how you'd go about doing that?
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so creating a safe space for community and people, I think it's being very approachable, another value. I think approachability is very, very important. They should feel that they can come to every single HC member or any Aristia member just to chat to, or if they have any concerns, I really feel that they should have the ability to come to us and approach us. So for me, that's a very, very, very big deal. And yeah, just being approachable, having the ability to allow them to be their unique selves, that they don't really need to go anywhere else, that they don't feel that they are not welcome where they are, and that they can be themselves, having respect for each other, and just being a community where they can be themselves and be true to who they really are. I think that's very important.
Thanks, Cords. We have another question from the panel.
Hey, Cords.
Hi.
So my question to you is, how are you going to ensure that you're able to keep a good balance regarding your studies, your social media initiative and presence, and house committee?
So my current social media. Oh, okay. Yeah, so they are absolutely everything I enjoy doing. Watching you especially and your hectic degree and time management, I think just prioritizing the most important things that need to be done. Yeah, I think I would love everything that I do. If I was part of the HC committee, I definitely put my all into everything that I do. So it's not that I would not put effort in because there are other more important things out there. My social media would not take over anything that needs to be done for HC. So if I have a task that needs to be done, that would be on the top of my list. Regarding my studies, I think I'm very good at time management now and getting done what needs to be done. And if I have to spend the whole night doing it, I would be willing to do it for being on the HC. And if it needs to be done, it will get done, because I believe putting my all into everything I do is what I do best. So yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cords. That brings us to the end of your caucus. So thank you much for joining us, and I hope you have a lovely evening.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Okay, our next candidate is Hannah. I almost called Dana up here, but that's not right. Hannah, your next candidate, you can put on your camera and then we can see if we can see you. Hello, Hannah.
Hello.
I can see and hear you, which is great.
Perfect.
Okay, if you're ready to go, then I will start us off with your first question. And my question to you is, how would you handle conflict within the team? And how would you go about adapting to this conflict so that it doesn't affect your own work or mission within the house?
All right. I think I'm quite an approachable person. So when it comes to conflict, I don't have a problem being in the mix. I don't have a problem being confronted with it. So simply talking to the HC and creating an environment for us to communicate our difficulties, I think, is something that I would do. And making sure that it doesn't affect me and my job as an HC is merely just understanding that a conflict in HC shouldn't be taken outside of the house. So I think once you've communicated your conflict with a fellow HC member, it should be left and you should move on and be able to be professional afterwards again.
Thank you so much. I'm going to open it up to the panel for your next question.
Hey, Hannah.
Hello, Booker.
So the question I have for you is a more situational one. Hey, so how would you handle a situation where a decision is being made in the HC that you feel is not that beneficial for the Aristia house? How would you go about handling that?
Okay, I feel like sometimes it could be a bit awkward if you have a different opinion of rather than your team, but I think that's good because that means that you're being true to yourself and your decisions, and looking out for what is best for the house. So I think if I were in that position, I would just be honest with the team, with the rest of the house, and make it clear that I don't feel as though this is beneficial to our house, and our main focus should always be making decisions that are beneficial for the house. So if it isn't, and I am the only one that feels that way, I think it should be considered, my opinion should be considered, and maybe the decision should be changed a bit or altered so that it is beneficial for the house. I think our main focus should always be the house and not just random decisions that wouldn't benefit us.
Thank you.
Thanks, Hannah.
Hi, Hannah.
Hello, Joss.
So my question is, what general portfolio would you most like to have? And if you do get this portfolio, what is one new idea that you'd bring to it?
I think socials is one that would be best, or one that I would prefer having, mainly because I realized that we make an effort to create socials for male and female reses, male and female PSOs, and I think sometimes we forget to make sure to empower women, for example. So to create more socials where female PSOs are together, female reses are together, to remind them that women empowerment is something we should still pay attention to. So I think it is important for us to pay attention to that, and I think that could be a good way to change our social culture in a way. I think that is quite important, and I think that would be a nice portfolio to be a part of.
Thank you.
Thank you, Hannah. That also concludes your caucus for this evening. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Have a lovely evening further. Okay, so our next candidate will be Jenna. Jenna, you can put on all your things.
Is my camera showing, Carly?
Give it 1 second. Yes, it is. I can see and hear you.
Cool.
Let me spotlight you so everyone else can also see and hear you. Okay, very welcome to your caucus, Jenna. I'm just going to reset our timer here and pull up your first question. Okay. Here we go. Okay. So my first question to you is a situational question. I'm referring to your speech. You mentioned all the strepsils that you had to go through during welcoming. How will your experience of or in Aristia benefit you in your HC term, and how will you bring this welcoming environment that you experienced to the house should you be gifted with the welcoming portfolio?
Cool. I definitely think even if you take welcoming from, for instance, 2020 to 2021, what a big change that we all had to try and deal with. And the one thing I remember in welcoming 2020 specifically is that everyone just had this buzz around them and this gees about them. And it was something that drew me back every single day. And that is one thing that made me apply for mentor. And then again, now I want to apply for HC. And coming to welcoming 2021, I had that same buzz and same energy about me. And I feel that it's all about the people that surround you. So obviously coming as a newcomer, you don't know what to expect. You don't know what's coming for you. So you feed off of the people that like the mentors or like the HC and even the people around you. So you need to be able to bring that energy. And one of the things I was thinking about is it definitely starts with the house committee, but it also starts with the mentors. So it's something as a big team of Aristia we need to bring together to make sure that that welcoming is felt by every single person, no matter small, big, little, anyone.
Thank you so much. I'll give your next question to the panel.
Hello, Jenna.
Hello, Puka. And Joss.
Oh, okay. Joss, are you going? Should I go?
Puka, you can go first.
Thank you. Okay. So, Jenna, you in your speech, you spoke about the importance of embracing values. I mean, embracing the values of the house. So, how do you think the leadership of the house should go about actually embracing the values of the house? Like, how should they do that?
Well, I did speak about individuality and I spoke about respect. And yeah, I definitely think those are two key things we can keep in mind. So with regards to individuality, I think it's one thing I've thought about during my mentor year now, that to embrace your individuality, you need to be in a comfortable space. And I found almost within my group, they almost found their voices when we became a smaller group or when there maybe weren't that many people there on the day or something. So as we try and embrace these values of now specifically individuality, we'd have to bring in little, I want to say, little groups or little activities where we can start embracing it from almost like a smaller thing and growing it. Because I don't think it's something someone can just pop up one day and be like, I now know how to embrace my individuality completely. And also just with regards to respect, like I said in my speech, I definitely think it starts within the HC. So, and I really would love it to start within the HC and then to be seen and felt throughout the house. So respect is such a little thing. Everyone always thinks that, oh, it needs to be for someone older, or it needs to be for someone wise. It never needs to be that. It needs to be something that when you look at someone, you really like that quality about them and you respect that they are like that in life or something like that. So definitely, yeah, that's what I have to say for those two.
Thanks, Jenna. Joss, you can ask a quick question.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's fine.
Hey, Jane.
Hello.
So I have a situational question for you. How would you handle a situation where another HC member believes that their idea is better than yours when you know that yours is more well thought through?
Yeah, this is definitely a question almost along the lines of the conflict questions. Also, we're going to have, I spoke about this in my vice prim speech as well. This is going to be something where whatever is best for the house will go. We will both sit down, we'll have a rational conversation about it, and it'll be, here's my pros and cons list, here's your pros and cons list. At the end of the day, like I said, whatever's beneficial for the house will go. Luckily, we do have a prim and a vice prim and many other HC members that will obviously give their own input. So this will definitely be a thing of we will sit down and chat. And then if we do not come to a conclusion, then we'll have to get everyone involved and it will just have to be a communal vote, I guess.
Thank you, Jenna. That concludes your final caucus. Thank you for joining us. Have a nice evening.
Thank you.
Okay, our next candidate is going to be Catherine.
Is it not Jess first?
Jess can't join for the moment, so Kate, you're going to go first.
No problem. Can you see me?
Yes, we can. I'm going to spotlight you and then just pull up your first question and then we can get going with your caucus. Let me just get your question here. Okay, so my first question to you is name one of the university values and one of RC's values that you resonate with, and how will you encompass these in your HC term?
So I think the university value that I appreciate the most is definitely going to be innovation. Sorry, the dog's spotted someone. And I think it ties in really nicely with RC's individuality. So I think through encouraging everyone in our house to accept their individuality and grow it and let it flourish, we can help that add to the university's vision of being innovative. Because how can you be innovative if you're exactly like everyone else? So I think that's kind of an aspect about how RST as a PSO plays a role in the university's vision.
Thank you so much. I'm going to give your next question to Joss.
Okay.
Hi, Joss.
So my question to you is, what general portfolio would you most like to have? And if you get the portfolio, what is one new idea that you would bring to it?
So I think one portfolio that I really appreciate is alumni. And I know it's kind of like the middle child. It kind of gets a little bit overlooked. But for me, that just highlights how much potential it has. So I think some new ideas I'd had for it, I was actually thinking about it this afternoon, was just really exposing our alumni to this, or exposing our students to the alumni and seeing what RSD's people are doing outside in the real world, you know, be it business opportunities or seminars, or whether they're in academia, and what they're doing in the faculty, and like looking at where all the primarias are, and just really trying to unite the current students and the alumni together so that they can kind of get more experience, and, you know, we can learn from each other. And I think that's something I would really appreciate to do in alumni.
Thank you.
Okay, next question from the panel.
Hi there, Catherine.
Hello.
So my question is, how would you handle a personal conflict that you would have with another HC member that seems to be boiling over into, you know, the workspace?
So what I've discovered over the years is, as I've grown into my own person, is that I've become very in tune with sitting someone down and being like, listen, are we okay? What's happening here? So especially because it's a personal issue, I'd want to get it sorted out very quickly. You don't want your personal life to spill into your professional work. So I would just sit the person down, say, okay, XYZ is bothering me. How are you feeling about it? Because I think we got off on the wrong foot. Or if we have different views where we can't, which is very rarely going to happen, but if we have different views that we can't meet in the middle, just being okay with each other existing separately, and being okay with each other as we are, and not letting it get to a point where it affects everyone else around us. And just staying healthy, you know, communicate.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kate. That also concludes your caucus. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Okay. Our next candidate is going to be Liane.
can you see and hear me?
I can hear you. I'm pretty sure I'll be able to see you in a second. Maybe just put your camera off and on again.
Can you? I think it's on now.
Yes, we can see you.
Okay,
Let
great.
me just spotlight you. Okay, very welcome to your caucus.
Thank you.
I will start us off by asking your first question. And the question I have for you is, what is one quality that you have that you think will be valuable in an HC team? And in what way would this add to the team dynamic?
I think one quality that I have that would really contribute is being able to make myself an objective party. So I think a lot of time when there's going to be decision making within maybe event planning or qualities that we would like to incorporate within this next SIM or embracing this next SIM, I think accountability or inclusiveness would be one of them. I think making myself an objective party, putting myself firstly outside of the HC leadership role and also outside of the house, giving an point of view which is not just from Aristia but as a university student, I think would be very, very nice to have in an HC group, and also being very well as a mediator. So when there is conflict, I know this is, I think, if I'm correct, the Vice VP's portfolio usually, or job, but I think I would be able to contribute to that as well, as I'm a really good mediator. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I'm going to ask Joss for your next question.
Hi, Leonie. So my question is, with your drama practicals being very time consuming, how are you going to ensure that you manage your time effectively and still be able to give back fully to the house?
I think by this year, because I was part of a festival this year actually too, I learned a lot more about time management, and each week I have a schedule. So it's not, I don't think it's going to be a problem, as it's very flexible to orchestrate and make the rehearsal schedule. So during the week time, which would take most of the time from an HC leader, I presume, I can move my rehearsals to weekends, or I can make it at like post hours, working hours rehearsals, because that is mostly when drama students do rehearse, since since all of the students are generally involved within the university community.
Thank you.
Okay, another question from our panel.
Hi, Puka.
Yep. Hi, Leonie. With the university moving to become more multilingual, right?
Yes.
What are some of the things you think the HC can implement to overcome the language barriers that exist?
I think a nice idea that would be also good for leadership development is creating more structures within Aristia. So that can be supporting structures for marginalized groups, which would include the language barrier that some students may hold. So if there's on the HC team a certain leader that can speak several languages, or even just a very active, or not even active, but member within Aristia who needs to find more value within Aristia, we can give them the opportunity to take leadership within these tinier structures within Aristia. So I think that is a really good way. I think also this year we had in O Week each day we had a different language, which we said like hello, good morning, I hope you're doing well, in each language. I think continuing with that throughout the entire year and not just in O Week would also conclude that barrier. And we should also make use from the bigger structures the university offers, like the language center, so we can invite them to Aristia to have conversations and so forth.
Yeah.
Thank you, Leonie. That concludes your caucus just in time. Thank you for joining us. I hope you have a nice evening.
Thank you, you too.
Okay, our next candidate will be Mishka. You can put on your camera and we'll make sure everything works. Is Mishka here? If she's not on the call, we'll just give her a second to quickly pop up. Robin, you'll be after Mishka, so if you see we get to the end of her caucus, you can just get ready to turn all your things on again as well. Yeah, thank you so much for everyone who has done their caucuses so far. I've thoroughly enjoyed them. Okay, just for the sake of the recording's time, I'm going to let Robin go first. So Robin, do you mind putting on your camera? You can do it very rustig. You can still take your deep breath at the beginning and everything, but then we can do your caucus and then when Mishka joins us. Great, it is so nice to see your face. I'm going to spotlight you. Okay, let me pull up your first question here. Okay, are you ready for your first one?
I'm ready.
My question for you is, what would your goal be in the coming term, and how does this relate to the common mission and vision that Margra has, that she's spearheading this term?
Okay, so from watching Margra's or Marge's Prim Caucus, I really think that what stood out to me was she had a big heart for continuing to engage among Aristia members and also spot leadership, potential leadership. And I think for me personally, that lies very dear to my heart because I am very people-centered and I love engaging within communities, especially Aristia. And I think the reason why I am here today is because my leaders spotted potential in me. So I would like to continue that and have the opportunity to work alongside Marge and just really spot leadership potential where it's due and help develop that. I really liked her initiatives with the different phases and the structures to implement leadership, definitely.
Thank you, Robin. I'll ask the panel for your next question.
Hi,
Robin. So you mentioned in your speech that you would like to see fellow Aries engage more virtually with one another. And I just want to know, what is one way that you will be able to practically implement this should you get the social media portfolio or virtual engagements portfolio?
Yes, this is also another thing that I loved seeing Marge work on this year. I mean, it's incredible when I open my Instagram and I see the purple and the green. I know that's Aristia. And I think I would definitely like to have a hand in that portfolio. And by doing this, I would really like to maybe introduce more questions on the Instagram page where followers or Aristia members can send in any questions that they might have or interact. I really liked during lockdown when there was that whole thing about December holidays, what are you doing, this or that, and really just encouraging like light-hearted engagement, but also leaving room for more deeper questions to be asked as well. I think social media is a great tool in having conversations, even though it's not in person. You can have conversations virtually over light-hearted and more deeper stuff that people might have questions about.
Thank you very much.
Hi, Puka.
Hi, Robin. So my question is a bit situational, right? So in a situation whereby the mood or the vibe in the HC is a bit down, how do you see your role in, bringing it back up?
Yeah, so I am naturally more on the positive side of things. I'm not a pessimist, so I like putting lots of humor into my personality, which is weird because I'm more of a shy person. So usually when I slip out a joke or whatever, people are like, I didn't expect it from that shy girl. But yeah, definitely seeing things on the lighter side of things. And also, I think I've placed a lot of emphasis on my communication skills. But I think what's also important and what goes in hand with that is listening skills. So if the vibe's a bit low, just offering that space for the fellow HC or Aristia members to come to me and just being someone who can listen to them and really just add a little bit of humor and lightheartedness, definitely. Thank you.
Thank you, Robin. That brings us to the end of your caucus. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you have a really nice evening further.
You too.
Okay, is Mishka with us? Otherwise, I'm going to ask Sam to come on while we wait for Mishka.
I'm here.
Hello, that was very quick.
I was on the ready.
I'm really glad. I'm going to spotlight you so that you can stay on the ready. And then I will just pull up your first question so you can take your big breath while I do that. Okay, so my first question to you will be, what are you most excited to do in your term, and why do you believe this will be of value to the house?
Okay, so what I'm most excited about is to motivate people and express my passion for the house. And in doing this, I think it will motivate others and get them excited about their passions and their goals. And I want to be able to help support them, because ever since day one, Alles vir die huis was my motto. I was jumping down steps, and I want people to see that and to be able to do it as well. Maybe not jumping down the stairs and ending up in hospital, but have the same passion and the same drive as I do, because it's such an amazing house that we have and such an amazing community that we're with.
Thank you so much. I'm going to give your next question to the panel.
Hi, Sam.
Hi.
So I just want to know, what do you think is your greatest strength that you will bring to your HC team?
My greatest strength, I think, is I'm very supportive. I'm very organized. So if you do need help, I'm there to help. In any portfolio, if someone can't make a deadline, I'm there to help them with other deadlines that they need to make. I'm a good listener. So if you are just needing a break from maybe your HC stuff and you need to talk to someone, I'm here. I'm there to back everyone. I'm supportive. I'm a good, solid foundation. So I'm your rock, your shoulder, like I said, to cry on. And I think that will allow people to, like, I'm approachable as well. So people will be able to come to me and chat, and I'm very open. I've got the open door policy. I have an open mind. If you have ideas that you want to bounce off of me, I'm there. We can chat about it. We can get a good way to go about doing something. And I think just the positive energy that I have will bring a good outlook onto the house.
Thank you so much.
There you go. Hello there, Sam.
Hi.
So my question is one from the house. So it goes, what is the biggest lesson you have learned in your life, and how will you make, or how will this make you a better HC?
Sure. So that's a very difficult one because there's so many lessons that you can learn. But I would have to say is people perceive things differently to the way that you perceive something. So whether it's a saying or something that you have said or something that you understand, like in communication wise, if you miss a finer detail, someone might perceive something completely differently. So I think what this would have taught me is how to go about interacting with people, because obviously you need to be able to communicate to everyone's communication styles and take people's body languages and all of that. And I think what would help me is that I would be able to pick up on those things, and if someone doesn't understand something, I'll communicate it to them in a different way. Have I answered the question? Is that okay? Perfect. Thank you.
Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you, Sam. And that concludes your caucus with your 3 questions. So thank you so much for joining us, and have a nice evening.
Thank you so much. Have a lovely evening too.
Okay. Next, we have Simone.
Hi.
Hello. I like your earrings.
Thank you. Cow themed.
I'm going to spotlight you so everyone can see them. And then I will pull up your first question here. Okay, so are you ready for your first one? My question to you is, you seem like a very fun and spontaneous person from your caucus or your speech. Please explain what your approach to working in a team would be, and how do you think your personality is key in an HE team?
Okay, well, I think that my personality is key because let me rephrase this actually. Let me start over again. Okay, so I'm a very spontaneous person, and I would say that I'm quite a creative person as well. I'm very fun-loving. I love working with people, and I feel like a lot of what I do goes into making sure people feel included and that they feel that they're heard. And I think that also being able to bring light to more stressful situations, because obviously there are times in welcoming where it is quite tense, like not only welcoming with the entire term, but like welcoming, for example, with lots of deadlines. And I feel like with me being quite the energizer bunny, I'll help put some energy and some, I want to say pizzazz into a team. So that's how I would approach working as a team, because honestly, I think though if people feel motivated and they feel excited to be part of a team, it makes the whole flow a whole lot easier.
Thank you. I'm going to give your next question to the panel.
Hi, Simone.
Hi, Joss.
So my question to you, you mentioned in your speech that our Aristia value of individuality is especially important to you. So how will you ensure that this value is implemented to the rest of your house in your HC term?
I think that when I first came to Aristia, I was kind of nervous because I was worried that I wouldn't gel in with everyone. But I looked to the HC team and I realized that there are a lot of people who are like me and that share similar interests to me, even if they're interests that, like, I want to say, like, you wouldn't really expect. So I think that with us kind of being our true selves as a HC team, that will filter down to the mentors who will be their true selves. And then there's always going to be someone that you identify with. So I feel like if people are just unapologetically themselves, that will kind of trickle down the ranks. And it will kind of, because that is what inspired me to kind of start branching out and starting to do my own thing. And people were like, yes, back that, we go. So I feel like if the hardcore is like that and they're unapologetically themselves, it will go down to the mentors and the seniors com and then the mentees, and then the whole of Aristia will just be striving towards the best versions of themselves. So yeah.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hi there. Hi, how are you?
I'm great. How are you? I like the stars. Very cute.
Thank you. So in your speech, you spoke about the Safe Space Initiative. Could you please elaborate, like, how would that work?
Okay, so I was very inspired from the Courageous Conversations because I'm a big believer in things will change when they're spoken about. I feel like if everything is kept on the down low, it's going to lead to people being uneducated about topics, maybe a bit closed-minded, and ultimately I think that if there is a place where those topics can be spoken about, it will help create like a more open-minded group of individuals. So my idea with the safe space is for like more, I wouldn't say personal questions, but I would say like taboo questions. I mean, this might be of a TMI, but like as females, for example, we rarely hear about like safety when it comes to like sex and stuff like that, like menstrual cups, your eating pattern, body image. Like there's so many things that I feel like people are kind of embarrassed to talk about. And I would like to create a space where they can be spoken about so that people can be a little bit more educated in certain topics and create this more open-minded community. And yeah, so even things like a place where I would say minorities, for example, the LGBTQIA+ community, they can find other members in the community that are also part of the alphabet mafia. Apparently we're calling it that now, which I think is very cool. But yeah, people can find bonds between people, and they can let me just think of how to say this quickly. But I feel people will be able to relate with each other, will be able to educate themselves, and it will ultimately create a more diverse and open-minded community. So that's why I would like to do a smaller scale, because I think a smaller scale would make it a lot more personal, a lot more intimate, and we'll be able to like pinpoint specific things that the community feels is important. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Simone. That also brings us to the end of your caucus. Thank you for joining us. Have a nice evening, and you're welcome to stay on the call or enjoy the rest of your evening doing what you want.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, so next we will have Siasanga. Hello.
Hello, everyone.
It's so nice to see you. Do you mind moving your phone a smidge back just so that we can see the rest of your face as well? Beautiful. Thank you so much. I am going to pull up your first question and then we can start with your caucus. So my first question to you is, what is one thing that you would change about Aristia? And what would you do instead of this, or how would you change it for the better?
One thing that I feel like is absent in Aristia that I would change is advertisement. Aristia is more advertising in social media or social platforms, but then in physical, there's less of advertisement taking place. Like, for example, the only place where you see Aristia stickers and borders and everything like that is when you go to the Wimbledon hub. But actually, Aristia works in hand with a lot of private accommodations. That is one thing that I would change. I would add more advertisement around campus and in also other accommodations that Aristia students are also residing at. I feel like if there could be more advertisement in that type of way, that is one thing I would change, because there's more of advertisements in social media than in physical advertising. So that is one thing I would change.
Thank you. I'm going to give your next questions to the panel.
Hi, Sia.
Hello, Charles.
So my question is, what is one thing that you learned in your mentor term that you think would be especially beneficial should you be elected onto the House Committee?
Okay, one thing that I've learned is patience. I've learned how to be patient with people. People do not respond to you like at any time that you want them to respond to you. So I've learned patience. People work according to their lives in different ways. So in order for you to be able to work with so many different people with so many different personalities, you have to have patience. So that is one thing that I've learned. It is how to be patient with people and how to know how to deal with people in terms of their different personalities.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sia. I'll give one more question with the panel. Go for it, Puka.
Hey, Sia.
Hey, Puka.
So, what is one thing you think the HC can do or you would do in the HC to better cater for seniors of Aristia?
What is one thing I would do?
Yeah, in the HC, or what one thing that you would like your HC team to do to better cater for the seniors?
Okay, one of the university values that I've spoken about in my speech is partnership. So I feel like through partnership as a team of senior HCs, we could go a long way because teamwork is one way to go. So that is one thing that I think I would cater better for the HC as a whole. It is through partnership or teamwork.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sia. That concludes your caucus. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you have an amazing evening further.
Thank you very much, guys.
Okay, so our next candidate will be Tiffany.
Hi.
Hello. We can see you. Just spotlight you there. Awesome. Okay, so I hope you are ready for your caucus. I'm just going to pull up your question here and then we can get started. Okay, so my first question to you, it's like a two-part question, I guess, is will you name two of your strengths and one of your weaknesses and explain how you'll use all three to benefit you in the coming term?
Okay, a little of a thinker. My strengths would definitely involve just kind of being optimistic and positive. And another one, I think would be being kind of objective, and I can understand how that can be seen potentially as a weakness, but I'll say why. And then a weakness being argumentative and probably a little bit stubborn now and then. And I think just a combination of everything and everything to an extent works very well together. For example, being argumentative in a matter of words, when it comes to just raising a point that people have made, that members of Aristia have made, but there's nothing being done on it, etc., and just kind of pushing that in a sense of an argumentative manner. Being optimistic and positive, working in a group, you need to bring your best foot, put your best foot forward every day, whenever you meet, and even outside of meeting areas. And that just encourages, team morale and just the bonds that we have as a team. Yes.
Thanks, Tiff. We'll ask your next question from the panel.
Hey, Tiff. In your Vice Prim Q&A session, you mentioned the Diversity Committee. Would you mind just elaborating on this again and just telling us how this would benefit Aristia as a whole? and which portfolio you think it would fall into the best?
Sure. So starting with which portfolio I think it would fit in best with, or that it could be incorporated into or work with, would be courageous conversations, and I think to an extent social engagement, just because it forces you to socially engage with people and then have these kinds of conversations. And the committee itself aids in two ways, educating us as REs, which we will then be able to take into our everyday lives and outside of the sphere of Aristea, and educating on the fronts of the LGBTQ plus community and the different races and cultures that exist within Aristea. And in a sense, it will also aid in, and one of Marge's viewpoints and visions for Aristea is to boost and encourage the leadership and encourage non-positional leadership and make room for that. And to an extent, the committee could be used as a form of that, kind of incorporating everyone and anyone around Aristea and just equipping them with leadership abilities in order to, for example, run a workshop or a session with people regarding the topics. So, yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tiff. Puka, do you have a question for Tiffany?
Yes, it's sort of a build up on the previous one. You seem to be very passionate about like diversity and also one of the aspects of diversity is inclusivity. So what do you how do you see the role of inclusivity across all portfolios of the that exist within the HC essentially?
I'm not sure if I understand your question correctly. So do you mean inclusivity just in general, or in the eyes of the diversity committee, how that can be like a focal point of inclusivity?
Yeah, like in the diversity column that you were speaking about.
Okay. I think the inclusivity largely comes into place when, it's various cultures and races and the LGBTQ plus community. We won't just, and it won't be kind of spearheaded to just focus on one or two kinds of cultures, races, and members of the LGBTQ plus community, but incorporate all kinds of races and cultures, and incorporate every kind of person that forms part of the LGBTQ plus community. And I feel like to a large extent in that way, it breeds a sense of inclusivity because we aren't being exclusive, but inclusive to everyone.
I'm just sorry if there's time, can I quickly just vote on that?
We unfortunately only have like 15 seconds left. I'm so sorry, Puka.
Sorry.
Thank you so much, Tiff. That concludes your caucus. You have a lovely evening further.
You too.
Okay, we are going to go back to Mishka.
Hi, can you
Hello.
see me?
I can hear you already, and I can see you. Great.
Sorry, I came back from Stellenbosch today, and I had the most biggest headache, and then passed out.
Oh, shame. Well, we are glad to have you here. I'm going to pull up your first question. Okay, so my question to you is, what is one thing that you think leaders lack today, and how will you ensure you fill that gap in your coming term?
One thing that I think leaders lack today, I'd say that would just be confidence in themselves and in what they believe in. So it's very easy to get persuaded by other people's opinions and to really, I don't want to be rude, but to care about what other people are thinking. But I think you should have confidence in yourself, in what you stand for and what you believe in is right, and what you think what you're going to do is going to better have a better outcome. So having confidence in yourself and just believing that what you're doing is going to work, and that have confidence in your leadership skills. So hopefully, I think with my confidence that I could be a better leader. Yeah.
Thank you. I'll swing your next question to the panel.
Hi, Mishka.
Hi.
So my question is, how would you handle a decision made by the House Committee that you do not agree with?
I would first voice my opinion in a civilized manner. I'm not gonna get angry and shout. I'm gonna voice my opinion and try to justify my opinion with facts that is more understandable and more convincing, I'd say. I try my best. If I really do disagree with the decision that's made by the HC, I will try my best in a calm manner to make them see why I feel that it's not the best decision. If it doesn't get through or they don't agree with it, I can't really get that mad or upset, but I will try my best to make my opinion heard and for them to understand why I think my opinion is important and why I don't or why I disagree with the decision that was made.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Okay,
Mishka.
Hi, Buka.
Hi. So I just hit a blank. Oh yes. Sorry. So which portfolio do you see yourself taking up in the HC, and what is one thing you'd like to implement within that portfolio?
For me, it would just be like events and planning events, etc. Because if I look at myself, I'm like a social person and I enjoy doing things with people. And I feel if you do things like this, you have to, interact with people. And I love like these social type of gatherings, even though it's COVID, lol, hectic. But I do enjoy these type of things. I miss. Luckily, my first year I got to go to Huisfonds, and those type of things, like I miss those things. So I feel if I got into HC, I would love to be part of that so that I could also be able to have first year, second years, etc. Also have this love for kind of these Arastia get-togethers and stuff, and be part of that. So yeah.
Thank you so much, Mishka. That concludes your caucus for the evening.
Okay.
And you were the last person.
Okay.
So thank you everyone so much for joining us and taking part in this caucus. It is our final caucus. So I hope you all have a fantastic evening, and I will see you all soon.